Hi everybody and welcome back to Visit Fylde Coast. This is Grandma's Parkin. So if you're a regular viewer, you'll know that this week we're supposed to be on holiday, in inverted commas. And I promised my sweet tooth dad that I would make some of Grandma's Parkin. So I thought you might as well join me. So the recipe's been on Visit Fylde Coast for quite some time. It's a simple, easy to make recipe, apart from the fact that I've just had to make a diversion to two supermarkets looking for ground ginger because I thought we'd got some. In fact, I was so sure that we'd got some that I didn't even bother looking in the cupboard before I started until I got to the point of measuring the ginger and discovered there was none. So you put your dry ingredients in a bowl. So I've got 8 ounces of self-raising flour, a pound of oatmeal and a teaspoon of ginger. And then in a pan, you put all your wet ingredients. So I've got 8 ounces of sugar, a full tin of golden syrup and 4 ounces of margarine. So we're going to warm that up in a minute. Grandma always made her parkin in a meat dish, so that's exactly what I've done. I've got my mum's donkey's years old, much used meat dish, and I've folded 2 pieces of tin foil together and made a pleat down the joint in the middle so that it's wide enough to fill the tin, and I've lightly greased and floured it ready. This is my donkey's years old diary and cookbook with all my recipes in it. This is another nice one for vinegar cake, so we'll have to have a bash at that at Christmas. So I thought, bearing in mind I'm making parkin, you might as well join me, and I'm being even more tidy than I normally am. So we're gonna set to and we're gonna warm up the wet things first. So I've speeded it up a little bit. I've had the pan on while you weren't looking, and it's starting to melt now. And do you like my corporate coloured teal spatula to match Visit Fylde Coast? One of those bargain buys from TK Maxx, purveyor of all household domestic accoutrements. So because this is margarine, it's not actually going to dissolve like butter will. And I know last time I made it, I sort of stood stirring it for a minute or two thinking, that looks disgusting. Because everything melts, the sugar, you're trying to melt it, not cook it. So the sugar dissolves into the syrup and the margarine turns into liquid. But because it's 2 different types of liquid, they don't kind of blend together. So just give it a wiggle and do your best. I know I stood here stirring it last time I made some thinking that looks disgusting. It's not what it looks like, it's what it tastes like when it's finished that matters. Nearly there. Just a couple of little blobbles to melt. And you can feel as well, can you see that there's still some granulation in the sugar, so that needs to just melt a little bit more, and then it can go in the bowl. So I've put the oven on to be starting to warm up, and now I'm going to pour this in here carefully, making sure that I don't create a tsunami of margarine. In fact, I ought to have mixed that in first, didn't I? I'll just give it a quick dibble. I'm not a cook, as you can see. Right, so pour that in. Obviously it's hot, so I don't want to stand it on the worktop and get skinned for wrecking the worktop. Oh, it smells like parkin. It smells lovely. I love ginger. Ginger of any kind I like. In fact, I keep a pot of crystallised ginger in the car and use it for when I'm feeling like I'm going to throw up. I have one of them little Tupperware tub things. I've got, as you know, I've got a bad wrist, so it's a little bit heavy. Right, so scrape the pan out. That's that. And then we can mix this up properly. I'll just move up. This book, it's actually a Fylde fax, if you can remember them. And my mum bought it me for Christmas. Oh, early on when we'd only just started our business. I must have had it, I bet I've had it easily 25 years, if not 30. And it's the recipe pages are all lightly dusted in flour and various shades of hack, as you might call it. I'm not as mucky as my grandma were, though. She were a messy baker. She used to do it with it all down the tiles and all over the worktop and everywhere. Right, I'm going to just pop that down there. And I'm just going to give this a stir, because that spatula's a bit whiffy-waffy for a wet mixture. Right, so just give it a good stir. I don't know whether it counts if you make a wish at this point. If you want to do, I suppose you could. It's not Christmas pudding, but nonetheless. And then whap it in the pan. So I've put the oven on about 180. I need to check online. I need to check my own recipe online, because when I made it last time I didn't write down what number it had been cooked. Duh. Because I've got two recipes here. One is for packet Parkin. My grandma used to buy like a packet mix back in the day when I was a little one, and she used to use that as well. I've not seen any of that for donkey's years. Right, that's that done. Right, so that can go in the oven now on about 180, and it takes about an hour to cook. There you go, one cooked cake. Now I realised when it started cooking a bit too quickly that 180 was probably too warm, so I turned it down to 150, and it's taken about an hour and a quarter. So the way that we tell whether a cake is done is we give it a stick. Now this is just an ordinary skewer, and I suppose you could use something a little bit finer if you were a little bit fine. So you can see when it comes out dry and it's not wet and covered in soggy goo, it's cooked and it's coming away from the edge as well. Just as an incidental thing, these are brilliant for broddling bird food out of the bottom of your bird feeder when it gets stuck, when it gets wet. Not the same one, I might add. I have one in the garden and one in the house. So there you go, folks. When it's cooled down, I've literally just this minute taken it out of the oven. So when it's cooled down, I'm going to take it out of the dish and cut it up into pieces and eat and enjoy. So if you ever go with it and you make some of Grandma's Parkin, pop us a comment below and let us know whether it worked or not and whether you liked it. Keep it in a box as well, an old sweet box or something like that, or a Tupperware box, and it'll go sticky and chewy. And these bits around the edge that have got sort of like a bit of a crustiness to them, they go chewy and all gooey and they're lovely, really nice. So don't forget to subscribe to the Visit Fylde Coast YouTube channel. If you've enjoyed this, give it a like. Hit the bell for notifications, and then when we do other weird and wonderful different videos, then you'll get an alert and you'll know what we've done next. And enjoy your Parkin with a cup of tea, a nice cup of tea. See you next time, folks. Bye.